Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today we're going to react to the rise and fall and rise again of Popeyes. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Ain't gonna lie, there was a point in time where nobody was fucking with Popeyes, and I can explain why, but we'll see when we get there. But as of right now, let's get right into this video, man. Yeah.
Popeyes chicken, we all know them. There's thousands of them all across the United States. One of the biggest fast food chains out there.
The GOAT. The fucking GOAT. It's not even up for debate. It's not even up for debate. When we talking about arguably one of the best chicken spots, mainstream chicken spots, Popeyes is number one. It's not even up for debate, bro. Come on, man. Come on, man. Popeyes chicken, man, is top tier. It's not even up for debate, bruh. I will gladly take a 2-piece and a biscuit from Popeyes any day of the fucking week. Shit, if I could have it every day, I would, my nigga. It is what it is. Popeyes is the GOAT, nigga. It's not even up for debate, bro.
Oh my God! That's what I'm talking about! That's why he's in the debate! That's why he's the GOAT!
It's not even up for debate, man. But anyways, though, come on, man. You got the chicken sandwich. At first, I didn't fuck with the chicken sandwich. I didn't fuck with it at first because I felt like that's why the pandemic started, was because of that damn chicken sandwich. And I didn't touch it. I didn't touch it until 2022. So I was down here when I had my first Popeyes chicken sandwich. I just tried it. And I must say, I understand why. I don't condone it, but I understand why niggas was getting stabbed. I understand why some niggas was getting stabbed over a Popeyes chicken sandwich. I don't condone it, but I understood. I understood, people. I didn't know it was that good. I didn't know the sandwich was that good, especially when you get it fresh from the restaurant. When you get it fresh from the restaurant, you gotta eat it right away. When it's hot and it's fresh, you gotta take a bite of it. Oh my God, bruh. Shout out to Popeyes, man. I thought y'all niggas was gonna be the problem with this pandemic shit, but no, it turns out y'all just made a good ass chicken sandwich. That's all it was.
And really among the biggest when it comes to fried chicken. They were sold for $1.8 billion in 2017, proving that they're valuable and I'd say doing pretty well. But there was a time when
Burger King owns
Popeyes. I know.
That makes a lot of sense now. Burger King owns Popeyes. It makes so much sense now why the workers are so fucking violent. It makes sense now.
Over the past 10 years or so, they've improved a lot and brought back their brand, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'd argue that this is even bigger. In 1989, when they had recently grown to the third largest, sort of the second largest fried chicken chain in the US, that'll make sense later, they filed for bankruptcy and immediately after were taken away from their founder. I would identify this as the shakiest period for Popeyes. Anything could have happened, so that's what I want to talk about today. Their rise to that point, their fall from it, and then their rise again after. Now, the founder that I mentioned was none other than Al Copeland. Wait until you hear about this guy. He grew up in the very poor areas of New Orleans. His father left just after he was born. His mother received welfare from the government to support her 3 kids. When he was 16 years old, he dropped out of high school to join the workforce. Fortunate for him, his older brother had become part owner of this local donut chain called Tasty Donuts. He worked at one of those for a couple years until he turned 18, sold his car, and used the money to open his own Tasty Donuts as a franchise location. From what I can tell, he did a good job running it. The whole thing was a success, but Al Copeland was always looking for bigger and better opportunities. When he was 4 years into operating that Tasty Donuts franchise in 1966, KFC opened their first New Orleans restaurant. Right away, it caught Al's attention. He started examining the business, comparing it to his own, and ended up learning that KFC was open for fewer hours, but was pulling in 4 times more money. Given those numbers, I'm sure he started thinking what we're all thinking right now. Evidently, the donut business is for suckers, because fried chicken is where you make the real money. He then spent some time planning things out, coming up with a few recipes, making some risky life decisions, and in 1971, finally opened a fried chicken restaurant called Chicken on the Run. Their slogan was, "So fast, you get your chicken before you get your change," which isn't bad, but it wasn't enough. It did not do well. Expenses totaled $2,000 every week, and after months of business, sales were still only about $1,100, meaning if he couldn't find a way to quickly double his sales, he was in some serious trouble. His plan was to shut down for a little bit and make some meaningful changes. One of those was fiddling with the recipe to make it spicier, giving it that Cajun flavor that we know them for today. In my opinion, this was one of the best decisions they ever could have made. It was just impossible to compete with KFC at their own game, so this was a perfect way to make themselves a little bit different, while appealing to the local Louisiana customers and giving them sort of a hometown identity. KFC was associated with Kentucky, and now they were associated with Louisiana. The other one was changing the name to Popeyes Mighty Good Fried Chicken. If you're wondering where that name came from, I'm guessing that he just liked the way it sounded. He claims that there's reasons behind it, but I don't really understand them. Remember, this was 1972. The Best Picture winner for that year was William Friedkin's The French Connection. It starred Gene Hackman as Detective Popeye Doyle. He claims to have named the restaurant after this character, and I know they used to use the cartoon sailor in their ad campaigns for 35 years, but that came later. Now, I don't see any association with the movie or the character beyond the name. It's not like there's a famous fried chicken scene in it. Also, this is confusing too, he chose not to use an apostrophe in the name, which I believe is poor grammar. When he was asked about it, he joked and said that he was too poor to afford one at the time, which, yeah, it's funny, but what is he talking about? I theorize that he saw the movie, liked the sound of the name, thought it looked better with no apostrophe, and here we are. So he reopened with the new name, the new Cajun-style recipe, a few other minor changes that proved to be effective. In his third week, he made $2,100, exceeding his $2,000 in expenses, meaning Popeye's Mighty Good Fried Chicken was now turning a profit. After its first year, their sales were up to $5,000 a week, and they were using that money to expand the business by opening new locations in the New Orleans area. By 1977, there were 50 of them, all owned by the company, and that's when they started franchising locations as a way to speed up the expansion. A year after that, there were 125 of them located all over the country. By now, they had changed their name to Popeye's Famous Fried Chicken. They had started that famous Love That Chicken campaign, and they were up to millions in annual sales. Love that chicken from Popeye! They already resembled the restaurant that we know today, and we're just working on opening more of them. Throughout the 1980s, that's exactly what they did in the ways that you would expect. Adding new menu items such as the 39-cent mini chicken sandwich called little chickadees, using national ad campaigns to promote them and putting the money that they made back into the business. They created franchising deals that promoted people to open multiple locations at the same time. By 1985, there were 500 of them, and Al Copeland had made a lot of money. I want to take a second to talk a little bit more about this guy, because I feel his personality can help you understand some major decisions he made involving the decline of the company. Plus, it's just entertaining. There's one word that I think just says it all. Al Copeland was extravagant. Every definition just fits him perfectly. Exceeding the limits of reason or necessity, extremely or unreasonably high in price, spending much more than necessary. There's countless examples to support this, but I'll just mention one: his Christmas lights. For over 30 years straight, basically from the time he first had money until his death in 2008, he would cover one of his homes in this ridiculous Christmas display. I'm talking about over 1 million lights with these huge lit up animals and snowmen. It became a tradition down in New Orleans where everyone would drive out to see them, which caused major traffic jams, and eventually the neighbors would sue him over it. I feel bad for the neighbors. Other than that, I have nothing against it, but you have to admit, it's extravagant. Now, let me try to set the scene. As far as the fried chicken industry in the 1980s, KFC, it was just far ahead at number 1, not even applicable here, followed by Church's at number 2, who does use the apostrophe, by the way, just saying, and then Popeyes at number 3. Church's was going through some issues. They kept going through different management teams. It led to a bunch of failed menu items, among other things. The point is, their sales were going down, and it just didn't look promising. So, despite having about twice as many locations as Popeyes, their sales were only a little higher, making the two fairly similar. In 1988, out of nowhere, Al Copeland offered $290 million to buy Church's in a hostile takeover attempt. Church's speculated that the attempt was motivated by information provided by former executives that were now working at Popeyes. There was a lawsuit from it, and the whole thing was just a mess. But then, just months later, they agreed to merge together. At the time, Church's was owned by the public on the stock market, so Al Copeland agreed to buy over 30 million shares for $11 each, totaling $330 million. All of that only gave him 86.5% of the company. For the rest of it, he gave them stock in the newly created combined company, valuing the deal at nearly $400 million. Al Copeland did not have $400 million, and I would describe this deal as extravagant. To finance this whole thing, they borrowed about $450 million, which came with pretty hefty interest payments. So think about it. Church's and Popeyes are now together, but why? What's the real motivation here? It did make them bigger. Their new combined market share was sitting at 17%, but then KFC was above 50%, so it didn't really do much to catch them. If anything, it was the first of many moves, if that was even their plan. Nor was there anyone right below them, ready to take their spot, so it's not like it was a defensive move. It's very possible that they saw great potential in the Church's restaurant chain, but as I said, they were on a downslope and not thought to have a great future. Maybe it was a well thought out, aggressive move, but given what we know about Al Copeland, I think it may have just been extravagant. The result of it was sort of what you would expect. Church's continued to struggle, many would argue worse than ever. Meanwhile, they were paying over $50 million a year in interest. In 1989, they reported revenue of $415 million, but with everything weighing them down, they ended up losing $36 million. By late 1990, they can no longer afford to keep up with their debt payments. They spent the next few months trying to restructure things and delay them, but it was unavoidable. In April of 1991, they filed for bankruptcy. I think anyone would tell you that getting involved with Church's just killed them. I don't like to pass judgment like this, but they went deep into debt to buy a struggling competitor. I don't even know what to say here. The Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce was their main creditor. That's who Copeland went to fund the acquisition, so the bankruptcy court ordered that they would receive ownership of just about everything. Once they received Popeyes and Church's, they established a new parent company called AFC, which stands for America's Favorite Chicken, company. It's another C there. But there was some good news for Al Copeland. See, in 1984, he had started a separate company to provide ingredients for Popeyes restaurants and actually transferred the rights to the recipe over there. They immediately worked out this agreement where he would receive $3.1 million every year in exchange for letting them use that famous recipe. That went on until 2014 when they finally just bought the rights to it. So much has happened with AFC since they were created through this whole ordeal. So for now, let me just go through some of the highlights. In the early 1990s, they hired this guy Frank Bellotti to turn around the company. He had already proven himself in spearheading one of Arby's many turnarounds a few years earlier. The plan included remodeling a bunch of restaurants, separating the two chains as much as possible while both remaining under their control, expanding churches into Canada, and just doing what they could to put in care and strengthen the brands. Once these two were doing better, they set their focus on adding new brands to the business, specifically ones that were attractive for franchising. Their plan was to be this franchising giant by promoting, I guess what you would call cross-franchising between different chains. Like, say, I already own a Popeyes franchise and I'm looking for something new, I could buy a Cinnabon franchise without much trouble because it's from the people that I've already been working with. That idea came crashing down in 2003 when they had this accounting issue connected to Arthur Andersen. It meant that they had to restate their results, which is never good. There was an SEC investigation, shareholder lawsuits. It revealed lower profits than the public was previously led to believe. The combination of everything led to AFC selling off all these other chains so they can focus solely on Popeyes. The money that they made from those sales helped them get through the scandal as far as settling lawsuits, among other things, and it allowed them to further invest in Popeyes. In 2014, AFC actually changed their name to Popeyes Louisiana Kitchen, further promoting that hometown identity. And finally, back where we started, in 2017, the people who own Burger King restaurant brands bought the entire company for $1.8 billion. Let me know in the comments, what do you think of all this? I know, I started going way too fast at the end there, but there's just so much here. I kept getting pulled in different directions, so I figured for today, I'll keep it at a high level, and then you can let me know which aspects you'd like to hear more about in the future. AFC's mission to become a franchising giant, their accounting issues with Arthur Andersen, maybe their more recent comeback following the divestments, or their involvement with Burger King now. There's a lot there. So any thoughts you have on any of it, leave them in the comments. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Thank you for watching.
Nah, bro, some real shit though. The real reason why I said Arby's because it's right there on the fucking screen. Nah, the real reason why niggas wasn't fucking with Popeyes, I want to say in the 2000s, the early 2000s. The early 2000s, I want to say around 2003 to about 2008, 2007-ish, around that time frame. Niggas was not fucking with Popeyes. Why? Because there was a massive findings of rats being deep fried in your chicken. So you could have a fucking rat head on a chicken leg. You know what I'm saying? And you wouldn't even know it. And then a lot of Popeyes was getting sued left and right. I'm surprised he didn't put that in there because that really did happen. Maybe it didn't happen around where you were, but I know up north in Milwaukee where I was, that shit happened like 5 times, bro. Niggas was not fucking with Popeyes for at least about 5 years, bro. I'm telling you. Popeyes was an instant no for 5 years. Nobody was fucking with Popeyes. Nobody was touching Popeyes. Popeyes was out of the question. 5 times. 5 fucking times. And no, the Popeyes that shit happened in, it happened in the same Popeyes 5 times. And guess what? To this day, that motherfucker's still open. That motherfucker is still open to this motherfucking day. Ghetto as shit, by the way. They ain't made no improvements on it. They ain't never upgraded it or nothing. It's still the old ass early 2000s Popeyes. The parking lot is terrible. Potholes everywhere, bro. It's arguably the worst and ghettoest Popeyes. You wouldn't even think that it was open until you see all the cars that's parked over there and you see people walking around on the inside. Then you like, damn, that shit's still open? Ain't that the one where people was finding rats in they fucking chicken? Bro. Because it happened here. I know it happened in California. I know it happened in Chicago. I know one lady in Detroit had a rat in her chicken. It was going on like crazy, bro. That shit was wild. And this was like in 1 year. In 1 year, 2003. That was the year that was the year niggas in my city, niggas in the hood. That was the first time ever we as black people had to deny chicken. I know y'all probably like, man, that's kind of fucked up how you saying it right now. Like, no, it's true though. Cause you know niggas love Popeyes. I'm like I said, man, I ain't got no shame in a minute, bro. I got my motherfucking receipt in my wallet right now, bro. Just so I can get me a free 2-piece and a biscuit with a large drink. I plan on doing that tomorrow. but anyways, though, I'm just letting y'all know, man, from 2003 to 2000, I want to say 2007. 2008, 2007, one of them years. Niggas was not fucking with Popeyes. Niggas was not eating Popeyes. Nigga, around that time, nigga, we was messing with the hood chicken spots. That's crazy. Popeyes got so bad that we started fucking with the hood chicken spots. We talking about JJ's Chicken and Fish. We talking about Sharks. We talking about them type of stores. You know what I'm saying? We started fucking with them stores more. And it was like, damn, that lemon pepper on that chicken pretty good. Let me buy some more of that. And the next thing you know, came a hood phenomenon. The next thing you know, it's JJ's all over the fucking place. It's Sharks all over the fucking place. I can't really explain it to y'all. All I can tell y'all is Popeyes fucked up for some time, man. They let some competition swoop on in. And it was them hood spots. And like I said, them hood spots hit different, man. I ain't been to one in a minute, though. Because I ain't trying to have my face bulging out, my eyeballs bulging out from all that fried food and all that salt and shit that's on them. So I'm trying to like step back, eat more fruits. That way my skin and my body can do things like it normally would. But anyway, so let's just go about do it for this one. I just want to let y'all know the real reason why, from the hood perspective, from my hood perspective, why there was a fall with Popeyes. That was the business aspect of it. But from the consumer aspect, yeah, that 2003, 5 times in a row at the same restaurant, nigga, nobody was eating Popeyes like that, bro. Only people that was eating Popeyes was niggas that was down bad, bro. Niggas that was down bad or just couldn't like let it go. Like my RP to my pops, but my pops was even one of them people that wouldn't let Popeyes go, no matter what. He had some Popeyes, I ain't want to touch that shit. I had to look inside the box just to see. Literally, I had to look inside the box just to make sure it wasn't a fucking rat in there. That's the type nigga, nobody was fucking with Popeyes. I'm telling you, bro. If you was eating Popeyes between 2003 to 2008, nigga, you was down bad. You would get roasted, nigga. If you even went inside of Popeyes, nigga, what the fuck you doing in that Popeyes, nigga? Like, that's how it was, man. But anyway, so I'm just gonna about do it for this one. I'll see y'all in the next video. Till then, peace out.